Ellie, we finally made the podcast happen. We've been talking about this for a while. Ellie Crabb is my guest today. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm well. I've been following you on social media for a while. I love your page.
It's mutual. You are the only reason I visited Mac the Moose.
So you live out in the mountains in Alberta.
Yeah, Canmore.
But clearly not from Canada originally.
So
I need a little background here.
Yeah, I'm Scottish. So I moved to Canada 4 years ago now.
So what brought you to Canada?
A mix of things, but mostly skiing. So the ski season in Scotland, what they say is, if you can ski Scotland, you can ski anywhere. It's a commitment to the sport. You're in the rain most of the time. It's icy. Sometimes you're skiing over just patches of heather. And sometimes it doesn't open at all nowadays. So it was time to move. So we were looking at kind of what countries we could ski, like live in and ski. And we specifically we'd lived in Italy before. We wanted English as a first language. So we were between Canada and New Zealand. And then we had a dog, and Canada was super easy to bring the dog. So here we are.
That's awesome. So literally just came here to ski, and you just wrapped up 100 days of skiing this winter.
Yeah,
right?
102 today.
Oh, you're still out skiing? I can't believe
Still
it's still
going.
When does it end?
End of May, but I'm going home to Scotland next week, so I won't be getting to do the full season.
Oh, okay. So how often do you get to go back home?
Well, obviously when I first moved here, it was like COVID. And then I had some kind of like visa things. I went onto what's called implied status, which means don't leave the country. And so it took like 3 years before I was able to go home at first. But now, like last year I went, and then this year it's been a year. So it could become regular.
That's awesome. So what keeps you busy when you're not skiing?
Well, I've got 2 dogs, so that's pretty much it. Summer's coming, so obviously that'll be less skiing. So that'll be mountain biking season starting soon.
That's awesome. So has that always been a passion, or is that something that started since you come here?
I mean, like a bit of both. Like, I've done bits and bobs in Scotland. Like, I got a bike from a pawn shop. It was just like this hardtail that I kind of like learned some stuff on. I was never very good. I kind of just enjoyed it. And then when I came to Canada, there was like actual mountains to mountain bike. I mean, don't get me wrong, Scotland's got some of the best mountain biking in the world. My skill level just wasn't there. And then Canada, my skill level had to be there because there's no other options.
Oh my goodness. I would love to visit Scotland. That sounds it sounds amazing. I feel like everyone here wants to go to like Scotland or Ireland to visit. So
I don't think I appreciated it enough until I moved back. Like until I moved here and then went back and I was like, this is a really beautiful country.
Oh, for sure. So what got you started with your your social media pages have taken off. So what got you started with the social media?
Well, it was kind of just a coincidence I've always made videos. I've always kind of I was the kid that had a camcorder and was forcing their friend to act in things. I've got like little vlogs I made as a kid, and I was like doing hikes as a kid, like filming myself going, here's me and my dad going up the hill. And so I kind of always done it that way, then like edited them together on Windows Movie Maker. And then I just started posting to Instagram when I moved to Canada to kind of like flex on people back home, you know. It felt like I was on this permanent holiday, so I had lots of things to post. And then this video blew up of me skiing. I was doing skijoring with my dog, and we were skiing across this bridge. And then
what's skijoring?
So the dog was like pulling me on skis.
Okay.
I've got a husky.
Continue.
And she pulled me across a bridge, and this kind of, these big reshare accounts, they stole the video and they posted it, and it got like 30 million views on their channel. And then some of these people started coming to me, and I was like, oh, I've got people following me. This is strange. And then it just kind of all spiraled.
Doesn't that drive you crazy when someone else reposts it and gets like 20 times more views than you do? It's like, come on.
Yeah. I don't allow them to have it now. I'm like, take that down.
Right? I know in our early days, I did the same thing. People would be like, I think it was like your mom's house or no, what was it? There's one of the ones on Snapchat that was like, can we repost your video? And I let them. And then now I'm like, no,
yeah, I say no now. Yeah. Also, like, I think from things like hate comments and stuff like that, like, I don't like other accounts having control of them. Do you know what I mean? I'd like to be able to just take kind of mean stuff and things like that and just get rid of it. I don't want my followers seeing that.
Yeah, I love the way you confront the trolls, though.
Sometimes depends how spicy I'm feeling.
Well, like, what's your approach to it? Because obviously, like, you have to deal with these like dum-dums out there.
Yeah, I mean, my approach is honor how I'm feeling in the moment. And I'm gonna be honest, like 90% of the time, that's a block and delete straight away, get rid of them. But if I want to clap back, I'm gonna clap back, because I don't think this kind of like, oh, just block and delete, just ignore them. It kind of sounds like shut up and take it to me.
Yeah. I get that. One of my favorite videos you did was you were riding up the ski lift and started talking about the trolls, and we're like, you're saying this and this about me. If you want to like say things that I'm sensitive about, say these things.
I know, they come from my skiing and I'm like, you can't, I'm really quite good. And then they come from my weight and I'm like, well, yeah, I'm fat. Like, that's the whole point of the account. Like, I clearly know this.
But, I love the body positivity and just like the whole message you carry with it, though. I think it's fantastic, and the way you deal with those people, because there's endless. I have a folder on my phone where I take screenshots before I delete and block. I take screenshots of the comments, and so one day I'm going to take all those comments and make a big long video out of them.
All the people were ever mean to me.
It reminds me of that scene from Billy Madison where the guy he was mean to in high school is crossing off all the names on his list. Do you remember that?
I've not seen that.
Oh my goodness, Ellie.
I'm so uncultured
now. Like, are you an Adam Sandler fan?
Yeah, I can be. Yeah.
Okay, well, Billy Madison was a classic, like one of his original movies, and is absolutely hilarious. So
I will look into it.
It's right up there.
I will look
so
into
what's you have to check it out. Have to. So what's going to be coming up this summer? Like, what are you getting into other than mountain biking? Are you going to have some more stuff like that coming out?
I turned 30. That's the only thing that's really on my radar.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Almost. That's July. So that's the only thing that's on my radar, really. But we'll be like getting bike park tickets for a couple of places. We want to check out Panorama, Whistler, Revelstoke, Fernie, obviously, and just hit the bike parks.
I love it. So when you're biking, like doing the downhill stuff, do you get to like take a lift up?
You can. So I only have done it a few times. It's such a luxury. I love it so much.
Because that sounds like the way I would want to do it.
Oh, it's so good. And you get so much more riding. And like, actually, so like trail biking is fun, but like actually when I start taking a lift, my biking improved, because you were spending so much more time biking without any kind of like you're not tired at all. You've got all your energy to put into the down, and you can get like several runs you can get several runs if you try hard enough trail biking, but you can get way more in the day of the bike park.
Right. So do all of these places have like bike parks in the summer then?
No, so a couple of the ski resorts, like annoyingly, the ones near me don't, because the national park doesn't allow it. But like a lot of like the RCR ones are Kicking Horse and Fernie, and they become bike parks in the summer. And then Whistler does, and Revelstoke does, and Panorama does. And then there's loads in the kind of Kamloops area.
I'm going to be driving through Fernie this summer. We need to connect, Ellie, and collab on something.
I can get you biking.
I love biking, but I've never done, like, I have a mountain bike, but have never done mountain biking.
Do you know what? Fernie is such a good resort. It was my first bike park, and it's such a good resort to like build up confidence, and it's got like a bit of something for everyone, I think.
I love it. I have to check that out. Yeah, we're going out to we're gonna drive to Coeur d'Alene again this summer. I'm taking my son back to the Gretzky Hockey School in Idaho. So We get
Yeah, I
to drive right
remember.
through Fernie. That was the first time I'd ever driven through there was last year. So it's a beautiful area though.
It's so nice. It's so underrated. We went there in the skiing as well, and it's a really great resort.
So what made you pick Canmore as the place that you landed? Like there's
The
so
ski
many different
season's
options
really
throughout
long.
the mountains there.
That's it.
What's that?
The ski season's the longest.
Oh, is
That's it.
that was
That's
it? Was that
it.
is it like a lifelong passion of yours, like skiing?
My dad taught me when I was like 3, and then actually I've never been very good. So I went on like a couple of school ski trips. I went in Scotland. My dad kind of got me like up and going, and then when I was 19, I moved to Italy, and got worse somehow. Like I lived there. I was skiing for like 6 days a week for 6 months, and yeah, awful. I didn't take a single lesson. I just developed so many bad habits. I kind of just like tootled about and enjoyed the vibes, I would say. And then I came to Canada, and the Canadian approach compared to the European approach is so different. It's so kind of like gnarly. Like everything here is type 2 fun, and everyone was like sending it everywhere. And like in Europe, we like to have like a glass of wine and charcuterie board and have our skis next to us, and that's skiing. And I got here and I was like, oh, people actually like spend their whole day like hucking cliffs. That's not what I can do. So this is just like last year I knuckled down and like really tried to learn and kind of get better, and yeah, here we are.
I love it. I've seen all the clips, and I'm like, you're a phenomenal skier. I
Thank
couldn't
you.
make it down the bunny hill. I don't think. I think I need to come. I think I need to come out for a lesson at some point. I have not skied, Ellie, since I was in elementary school, and my class went out to the ski hill, which was just outside of Moose Jaw. Which,
Mm-hmm.
since you've been to Mac the Moose, you can imagine what that hill was like. It was the side of a valley, and it was pure ice. And to get up the hill, there was a rope tow, so you had to just hold on to the rope on your skis as tight as you could. So usually that meant you got about halfway up the hill before it started slipping through, and you had to jump off. So that's my skiing experience. My one time in the mountains, I went snowboarding.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Snowboarding is harder to get up and around. Like skiing, you can get up and around the hill easier, and then it's harder to look good. Whereas snowboarding, it's harder to get up and about, but once you're up and about, it's easier to progress.
Yeah, I found that I enjoyed snowboarding more than I ever did skiing.
Did you?
But maybe that was because it was the only thing I did in the mountains too, though.
Do you ice skate though from hockey?
I didn't play hockey growing up, so but like my son played. I helped coach him one year. Like I can skate, but I'm not a good skater.
Right, okay. I feel like some people are forwardy people and some people are sideways people. Like I really want to skateboard. I've always like got on boards and then I get really scared.
So have you snowboarded?
Mm-mm. No, it doesn't appeal to me, to be honest.
Really?
No.
Like you love being on the hill skiing, but see, this is what we need to do is I need to come out and you and I need to learn how to snowboard together.
Yeah, I will fall so many times.
That's what happened to me. I went to, have you been to Sun Peaks?
I want to.
BC?
It looks amazing.
So that's the only place in the mountains I've ever gone, like to ski, snowboard, whatever. So I went snowboarding. I got up to the top of the lift, and you're above the clouds, which was terrifying because I'd never snowboarded before. And I started going down the hill, and I would just fall, and then I would fall, and then I would fall, and then after about a half an hour of that, I was just sitting on the side of the mountain, like, I don't like this. I want to be at the bottom of the hill, and I don't ever want to come up again. And and somebody who was with me, I think they were on their second run down. They caught up to me, and they're like, "Well, you just got to go." And then I started going, and I fell again. And they're like, "Oh, you have to turn." Like, what do you mean you have to turn? They're like, you have to stay on your edges and keep turning. I was trying to ride the board flat.
Yeah.
just straight down the hill. So finally, after about 2 hours, I made it down the hill that first run and went up one more time. I only got through twice that whole day. But
you got through twice. That is more than a lot of people have done. So
that was my whole experience. So skiing scares me. I don't like that my feet are on separate things.
Oh, okay, because for me, is the opposite of snowboarding. Like, I wouldn't like my feet just being like jammed in together.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
See, this is interesting.
Everyone's
I'm
different.
learning new things. So what do you miss most like from back home now that you're here in Canada?
Oh, I mean, there's a lot of things. Like, I think, for example, just like family and like lifelong friends.
Yeah.
I miss having kind of like Europe on your doorstep. You know, like in Europe, we've kind of got 30-pound flights out to kind of get some sun, and here you are very much in Canada. I feel like when I was back home, like traveling was a huge part of my personality, and
Yeah.
I now haven't traveled properly in like 4 years. So there's that, and then my mom's cooking. So
Okay. What's the like Scottish dish that you miss the most?
so there's this dish called Balmoral chicken, which is the one thing I always request my mum makes, and it's haggis like stuffed into a chicken breast, wrapped in bacon with a whiskey sauce.
Okay.
It's good.
Not finding that out here anywhere then.
No. My partner tried to make it. The butcher down the road had some haggis, and my partner made it, and the haggis just wasn't it.
It wasn't there.
It wasn't giving. It's okay. We're miles and miles away. I'll get it when I get home. But also seafood, like the landlocked thing here gets to me.
Yeah. You need to go out and visit the coast. That's where they've got all the seafood.
Yeah.
I'm not a big seafood fan, but maybe that's because I grew up in the middle of Saskatchewan, in the middle of nowhere.
Well, yeah, every time I have seafood here, I'm like, oh, okay. So I don't think I'd like it either if I had grown up here.
It's just not quite right. So
no,
what?
I mean, like, when I've been on the coast, Canadian seafood's been amazing.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
it's just not in the middle, miles and miles from the sea.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I've heard that. Somebody else told me that the seafood, like there are like top-notch seafood that we get here, is like the stuff that they would like throw away on the coast. That's pretty accurate. Okay.
Yeah, seems to be.
So what Canadian food have you like learned to love since you've been here then?
I like poutine. Poutine. Okay. I don't, which way you want to say it.
I call like it poutine. I'm not French though, because then it would be poutine. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not French either. Oh,
that's awesome.
This is Sky.
Ellie's dog is joining her on the podcast. My dog actually just ran into the room here as well. They must have sensed each other. So do you take the dogs out? You take the dogs out with you, and you guys do like mountain biking and stuff?
It depends. We don't take them to the resort because they can't go on the chairlifts. But trail biking, as long as we're not kind of biking in the parks.
Will they just like run along with you, or do you have to like?
Yeah, they run.
Have them on. They'll just stay right with you.
They'll stay with us. This one, as soon as she sees people going faster or better bikers than us, she goes, "They look like they'd be more fun than you guys." And off she goes. So we had to train that one out of her. This one's just a baby, so she's still learning all of the stuff.
Oh, what kind of dogs are they?
They're mutts, both of them. So Akila's a German Shepherd Husky, we think, and Sky, we don't know.
Just a mix. Just a mix. I love it. We've got two dogs. One of ours is a total mix. But she looks just like a chocolate lab. That's what everyone thinks she is, but she's not. Mm-hmm. And then our other dog would never be able to survive any sort of outdoor exercise. She is a pug.
Right.
She just wants to crawl underneath a blanket and sleep.
Yeah.
I think she's my spirit animal at the end of the day.
Yeah, quite possibly. Me too.
So, have you tried beaver tails since you've been here?
I have. They're fine. I'm sorry.
They're fine. That
fine.
doesn't sound like a good review of them.
I really liked them when I first got here. But I think when I first got here, I was like, "Wow, these are so good." And then I just slowly they became kind of just
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah.
So you talked about living in Italy. How did that come about?
Just like a ski season. So I worked for a ski company that did like school ski trips when I was 19. I just had a bit of an identity crisis at college, dropped out, and thought I'll go to a ski season. So, yeah.
And what was it like? What was it like living there?
I worked for a British company, so it was definitely a lot easier than kind of you'd think. It was intense. So the way it's set up was kind of like you were working 7 days a week, you were not getting days off, and it's seasonal work. It's kind of a lot of work for really low pay. But I came out with like some lifelong friends. I met Alex, my partner there. And I don't know, a lot of it kind of like put me into who I am today. So it's good and bad parts of seasonal work.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Give me 1 second here. My wife tried to call me twice and she knew I was doing the podcast. So I just want to make sure there's no like emergency. I'll edit this part out.
Is she Leroy behind the camera then?
Oh boy, you're going to throw out the spoilers here. Actually, she is.
Hello? I think you're muted.
How about now?
Did you mute yourself on purpose right as you said?
No. No, I didn't.
Who is Leroy behind the camera? And you went mute right as you went, I'm about to divulge, mute.
I'm going to leave that part in with it muted and then just cut back into this.
In 2021 or something like that, and I was working at this hotel in Canmore. I'd sort of like new to the area, and my boss and I used to watch your content like when we were skiving, and then he went to drive home to Ontario and he saw you filming when he was driving through Saskatchewan, and he sent me a video and he was like, I know who Leroy behind the camera is. So I actually have like a stalker style gorilla pic of you.
I love that. Oh, that's fantastic. I love getting to meet people, like people who I follow like you, and finding out that they like are good people. You know what I mean?
Always
like,
disappointing when they're not.
Like, if you actually meet them, are they actually going to be friendly? Right? Like,
yeah,
I love those moments.
Yeah, but it's definitely always good because sometimes, I actually haven't had any bad experience. I've met a lot of people from like the online community, and I feel like you get a good vibe of people generally if you talk to them in like DMs enough. But yeah, no horror stories yet.
Right? I know. I like when I was younger, I loved Tom Green, and all of his nonsense. And he started following me on TikTok, which like absolutely blew my mind. So I sent him a message like a year ago and was like, hey, love your stuff. Like, would you ever want to be on my podcast? I didn't hear anything back, which I'm like, it's Tom Green. He's got like millions of followers. Like, and then like 2 weeks ago, I got a random message on TikTok from Tom Green saying, hey, yeah, I'd love to be on your podcast. Like almost a year to the day since I sent the original message. And I had like a 20-minute conversation with him. And I'm like, this is awesome. Like,
you didn't just reply going like, well, you missed your chance. Sorry about that.
That's what I thought you were going to tell me after we tried to make this podcast happen earlier in the week. We should explain this to everyone. Ellie and I had lined this up for Monday to record the podcast. Only in the program I use to record the podcast, there's a time zone button, which I didn't notice said Central Standard Time. For the record, neither of us is on Central Standard Time.
I thought you were.
So Ellie, being much more astute, was actually on at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. And I, for the first time in probably a year, left my phone at home and went to watch my nephew's baseball game. Totally missed the like 3 calls that Ellie sent me. And so here we are a few days later making this happen. So I'm glad that you're able to make it happen in the end.
Yeah. I came home for skiing for you.
Well, thank you for that. Oh my goodness, I know like 102 days and counting here. You also like skied through. You also skied through like an injury this year though, right? Like how did that happen?
So I blame my cousin. I don't blame my cousin. My parents told me to stop blaming my cousin, and if he hears this, then yeah, you're not actually in trouble. It's not. No, it wasn't your
Ellie's
fault.
cousin's fault. I'm
All his
hashtag
fault.
Ellie's cousin's fault. Okay.
Yeah. No, I basically was doing a run that I always do, and it was a blue run. It wasn't even that hard, and I was just carving, and then the snow came up. I caught an edge, and down I went, and yeah, it ended up in emergency, but that's okay. I skied myself down. I skied down on one leg, got myself like off the run, halfway down the run, and I'm like trying really hard to get down on one ski. I'm like bawling in pain. And someone comes up to me and goes, "Hi, I follow you on Instagram." You've got me a really bad time. Yeah.
So what did you do?
When I hurt myself?
Yeah, like what was the injury?
Just a sprain, but it was just a bad one. My bindings released on time, and the doctor said I have very strong knee that stopped it from doing anything worse. So, so that's when I had my goal to reach 100 days. So I was like, well, I don't want to just like sit out. So I contacted our local adaptive skiing program, and I asked if they could teach me how to sit ski. And that was actually a really, really cool experience. So it kind of worked out for the better because I got to try sit skiing.
I thought that was really cool. I didn't even know that was a thing. So I think you kind of got to educate some people at the same time on that one.
Exactly. I mean, like the thing with adaptive sports is that skiing can be for everyone, right? So no matter what adaptation you need, there's a way to do it. Like you can go out and you can ski. Anyone can sit ski. There's like athletes that ski on one ski if they've like lost a limb. There's everything, every single thing that you can, even like visually impaired. There's people skiing without being able to see.
So for someone like me who has basically never skied before, where would you recommend I go like to learn for the first time?
For the first time, in my area, I think like Lake Louise has got a really, really good beginner area. There's also Nakiska, which it's just a really, really like family friendly hill. It's got kind of like everything's groomed down and made really kind of like accessible to learn on. So that's a really good one. I really like Sunshine. I think it's just a really nice vibe as a hill. The only thing I would say, rather than kind of like where to go, I think if you're starting, take a lesson. You're going to just have a much better time of it.
That's probably what I should have done when I tried snowboarding.
Yeah. Too many horror stories from people who are like, "Oh, my friends took me up a black run and then they told me to just go." And then, you're not alone. I think the thing is like, once you get good at a sport, you kind of lose empathy a wee bit. And you're like, things that seem second nature. You're like, well, how don't you know how to turn? Just turn. And people don't understand like actually what's going into it. So yeah, qualified instructor's the way to go. And do not, under any circumstances, get your partner to teach you how to ski. It's the recipe for disaster. Like,
is this from experience?
My partner's a qualified ski instructor. We still end up arguing. I just think I think even the healthiest relationships cannot survive that power imbalance.
That's probably fair. That's probably a fair assessment. So where is your partner from originally?
He's English.
Okay. And then you guys met in Italy and now live in Canada. I love that story.
Yeah, we moved here with our dog, and so we lived in Edinburgh before we moved out to Canada. And yeah, we both wanted to ski more.
That's fantastic. Do you have like a dream place that you want to ski that you haven't had a chance to?
Our kind of big goal in life, we've not made a dent in this really, but our big goal in life is to ski on every continent. So I'd love to ski like Japan is kind of like the big powder place, and then New Zealand for Australasia?
Australia?
No, the continent. I'm being so stupid right now.
Which continent? Wait, hold on. I don't know.
With Australia and New Zealand and Tasmania and
I don't know. Isn't it? I don't know.
Oceania? That
Maybe?
continent would be New Zealand.
Okay.
And then you've got Argentina, and then you've got the Atlas Mountains, or you've got some ski in South Africa.
Okay. There's skiing in South Africa.
There
See, I'm
is
learning
skiing in
new
South
things from
Africa.
you right
I
now.
think from Googling it, it seems to have the same vibe as Scottish skiing, but that's cool. We can rock with that. That's fine.
That's awesome. I love that you're just going all over the place. I love the message that you are sharing while you do all this too, Ellie. I think it's incredible. And thank you so much for like taking some time to chat with me today. How can people find you on social media?
And at Crabtacular. Crabtacular's got 2 B's because my last name is 2 B's. Mostly on Instagram, little bits on TikTok, but that's it.
I love it. At Crabtacular, I will tag you when I get this posted. But it's been super awesome getting to meet you and chat with you, Ellie. And
yeah,
I hope
well.
that we can do some. Maybe we can learn to snowboard together one winter.
Absolutely. Well, we'll get you on bikes in Fernie this summer, I think.